welcome to another episode of Sports Talk in the Burgh. I am your host, Hope Beatty, and today I am joined by our three panelists, Tyler Gallo, Cam Macariola, and Michael Deemer. We have a lot to talk about today, so let's get started. Our first set of questions centers all around the Winter 2022 Olympics. This year's Olympics viewership has been down 42% from last Olympics in Pyeongchang. With the Olympics coming to an end, why do you think the viewership was down so much during this year's game? Michael.
I think it's just frustrating to begin with to watch. There's a ton of events going on, and like you can obviously this year it's on the other side of the world in South Korea, but China.
Wait, there were events going on? There was no publicity for any of these events anywhere. I mean, yeah, sure, they're on TV all the time, but no one was saying anything about it. And, you know, this was Shaun White's last year at the Olympics. That's a guy I grew up watching. Yeah. Didn't even get to know about that.
Well, that's also
I believe they did not market these athletes good. Like, I remember back in the day, I could name all these athletes off the top of my head. Apollo Ono, Lindsey Vonn, Shaun White, when in his prime. Every Subway commercial, you would see these athletes being marketed to you. Right. And I also think another big issue was time zone. Two of the biggest Olympics we've had in recent history is Brazil and London, and that's 2 hours and 5 hours.
Well, and Cam, also the lack of flair, really. You know, there's no NHL players in the hockey games, and that was the main reason why I watched it. I loved the day of the golden goal, TJ Sochi. Those moments were really so special to me. And this year, I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to watch Brian O'Neill on the USA hockey team because, I mean, do you know who that is?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I do not.
All the other events are on Peacock that you actually did want to watch though sometimes. Like you're saying that Shaun White was on, but you can't really find him at all.
Right.
I think a minor issue in all this too is the very political year.
That's all the time we have for this point, guys. This Olympics has been full of major twists and turns. So what was your biggest surprise during the Olympics? Cam?
My biggest surprise was just how disappointing the hockey was. Like that's Winter Olympics, that's your go-to sport. Right. There's so many great games. The 2010 Olympics, TJ Sochi, the 1980 Miracle, which happened 42 years ago yesterday.
As we just talked about, I mean, no NHL players in that altogether, and they lost to Slovakia. I think mine, though, is the rise of curling, getting to see guys like me go out there and play sport. I mean, look at that guy right there. That is just an absolute unit right there. And let me tell you, curling was pretty interesting to watch. I actually tuned into one of the few things that I actually watched during the Olympics because I'll tell you what, hockey was very boring, like you said.
I'm gonna say Michaela Schifrin. Michaela Schifrin probably debatably is the best downhill skier probably of all time, despite how young she might be. And she had 5 events and she DNF'd 3 times. People were expecting her to get gold. She didn't even finish over half of her races. So
with
very
curling, the flag bearer in the opening ceremonies was a curler. Never heard of that man. I was so confused.
They won gold 4 years ago. How do you guys not remember that? They won 4 gold.
Guys,
what's his name?
I don't. Yeah, that's true. I don't know his name, but I mean, I do remember them winning gold though. USA did not do well in curling this year.
No marketing whatsoever for that.
So shifting our focus now to professional baseball, there was a mixed reaction this year to NBA All-Star Game. Rank in order by league your favorite All-Star game so far. Tyler.
Well, there's really only one way you can do this, and it goes MLB, NHL, NFL, NBA. And NFL and NBA are pretty much tied with each other because there's no appeal for any of these anymore. I used to love the NHL All-Star Game. It kind of really just become watered down. MLB's All-Star Game with the Home Run Derby, the Futures Game, and the game itself, it really is
I'm going to disagree with you. I think the NHL All-Star Game, I think it's been better as of late. I mean, nobody...
I agree with Deemer.
The 5 years ago, they had the 3-on-3 overtime. I mean, I feel like that's what made it better. It's more exciting now. The MLB All-Star Game, I mean,
in the days and age when there was the Young Stars game, that was really exciting to me because you get to see some of the next best players in the action. Yeah, you see them now.
Well, NBA does that. You have NBA where?
Has just become unwatchable at the All-Star Game.
But they have
the All-Star Game now.
Complaining about that.
I feel like they had it also better, the NBA. I mean, the ending it now, it's not just this 50-point deficit. Like you play
to it's like going to 21, but
exactly.
you go to 163.
I know, but
exactly. I feel like that makes it better.
Compares to the home run derby in all professional sports. I mean, just watching baseballs fly in the air, especially at Coors Field last year. I mean, that was impressive to watch.
I feel like we can all agree that the NFL is just terrible.
Yeah, that definitely is my last one. I hope you guys all feel the same.
Moving on now to all things football. The Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl on February 13th of this year. Do you feel like the calls late in the game were controversial? Michael.
I'm gonna say like, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, like people obviously. I feel like the call with T. Higgins and the face mask that's been a little bit like slipped under the rug. I mean, like obviously the Bengals calls didn't go their way. The Rams
but I think I'm getting a call here. I'm getting a phone call, and yeah, it doesn't really sound controversial to me. They were just normal calls, pretty much. I mean, nothing really you can say about it. The pass interference towards the end of the game was pretty obvious, but other than that, it was just weird to see them all happen in so much succession towards the end of the game.
I don't think it's controversial because it was a normal football game. You miss some calls, you get some calls. Right. It's not blatantly obvious like the NFC Championship game with the Rams.
If the face mask led to a win for the Bengals, that would have definitely been a bigger topic, but I just don't see there being too many controversies.
I don't think it was that controversial. I agree.
Yeah, it was a very fair end of the game.
Now it's time for Tweet of the Week. Barstool Sports tweeted this about Patrick Mahomes earlier. Quote, Patrick Mahomes allegedly had a sit-down with his brother and fiance about staying away from games because of their antics and because of the antics are bad for his brand. Do you think this would be better for Mahomes' public image given the recent events? Tyler.
Yeah, I really think the Mahomes family and Patrick Mahomes are two very separate entities in this scenario right now. They just are a distraction, an utter distraction, especially Jackson. Yeah. That dude dancing on Sean Taylor's number, just posting all these TikToks, and then his wife dumping champagne all over the people in the crowd. Like, come on, that's just etiquette at sports games 101. I know you've been to so many, but like you got to know that's not what
I feel like they weren't really an issue until Mahomes got that $500 million contract. And then they just started going crazy.
Right, yeah.
Like, you see all the stuff they do, the Taylor, the champagne, and then there's just, it's always about them. It's not about Patrick Mahomes' play.
And Jackson only has a platform because of his brother.
Yes.
That's the issue, and same thing for his wife.
I'm definitely going to say that this is just probably another example why social media is very, like, probably like a toxic place. If it weren't for social media, then their, I guess, brands wouldn't exist. So, I mean, like Patrick Mahomes, I don't, I guess, hate him per se. It's definitely
I know a lot of fans that just don't, like, when you're thinking about the Chiefs, they don't have an issue with the players on the Chiefs. They have an issue with the people in the stands, which is a huge issue for Mahomes, which is the reason why he had to sit down.
On Monday, the XFL announced its partnership with the NFL. Do you think that the XFL can survive on its third attempt of trying to start off a competitive professional league? Cam.
I am a solid yes on this because they were doing good until COVID hit. Like I was tuning in and watching.
So was I.
Did you see the games in St. Louis?
Did you see the games in DC? The beer snake. Look, it was so entertaining.
We're 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. We miss football. We want football.
How many times are we going to have this argument?
We want to watch right now.
It's not going to compete with the NFL. Every league that is
it's not competing with the NFL. It's working with the NFL.
Every league that has tried to come up in symbiosis with the NHL has failed trying. I'm just tired of this argument coming back up because it never works. They always ultimately fail. The USFL is going to fail in a couple weeks too.
I think that league will fail.
I mean, USFL more likely than XFL.
I think the XFL will succeed because you got so many big names. The Rock is the president.
The NFL literally is now working with them now with rules and new equipment. I don't understand why
I don't know. I can't see
they were fine where it was before COVID, and then COVID just changed the whole aspect of it. So I don't blame them failing the second time. The third time is completely different.
Yep.
So I believe it will succeed.
One more year, and then we'll see it again.
With the recent retirement of longtime Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, the team is now in search of the next franchise quarterback. What do you think the Steelers GM's comments about the Steelers quarterback situation, saying that if the season was to start today, Mason Rudolph would be the starter? Michael.
I mean, he'll probably say that now because the draft doesn't happen. I mean, I hope they use the draft to get a new quarterback, but like Mason Rudolph as your starter and to start a new era.
Kevin Colbert's on his way out. Yeah. He doesn't really care what happens from here on out, honestly. But and to me, he's sort of on a one-year tryout, and now is finally the time where it is up for him. He's had an ample opportunity to shine, and he has not.
I feel like the Steelers should have prepared for this moment a long time ago. You could see Ben working his way out. There should have been a plan for him to move. And now they're just stuck in a position. Mason Rudolph is going to lead them nowhere. And even if they draft a QB, the QB hasn't developed. You're going to have to develop the QB for a few years. If they just had a plan in place a few years ago, they would be in a better position than they are right now.
Definitely agree. The draft's coming up. Probably they draft Kenny Pickett, maybe. Who knows?
Shifting gears now to baseball. The MLB and the MLB PA have been meeting all week regarding the league's new CBA. Do you believe that the two sides will come to an agreement by Friday? Tyler.
Yes, because money talks. And I think the conversations now have been in much better spirits than they were before. Now they're actually talking for longer instead of for 15 minutes. They're talking for a couple hours. They're reconvening. They're coming back in. And I don't think either side wants to miss out on money or playing time because, look, I mean, the bottom line is both sides are going to lose a tremendous amount of cash when it comes to if they miss any games in the regular season. I think the real deadline is not February 20th. I think March 12th is the latest day where you can say,
I was going to say, I think that it's going to go, not Friday, that's 2 days away.
Yep.
So I think it's going to go a little bit past that, but not drastically behind that and, like, mess up the flow of the season.
It's a shame I'm going to have to cancel my plans to see spring training in a couple weeks, but I just think that there's too much at stake for it not to have a complete 162.
I don't think it'll happen Friday, though. That's
very definitely
quick
not Friday. They're really far apart on the CBT, the competitive balance tax, which is the main issue for both sides. They want teams to actually be competitive as opposed to tanking, like the Pirates and the Royals, who don't have really low payrolls and try to go out there every year and don't put a competitive product on the field.
Yep.
Now that we've covered everything professional sports, who is your guys' professional athlete of the week? Cam, let's start with you.
I'm going to go with Steph Curry. I know you guys are going to complain about it being an all-star game, but oh my goodness, he was just electric. He set a record with 16 threes, and he won the Kobe Bryant MVP award. And some of these threes that he hit, 37 feet, 34 feet, 33 feet, and he's hitting them from the logo center court. And he throws it up, and at the peak elevation of the ball, he turns around and he's like, it's in.
I'm going to go with the first star of the week for my first star of the week, and that is Elias Lindholm from the Calgary Flames. 10 points in 5 games this week. He's got 49 points in 49 games played. He's also got 3 points in back-to-back games and multiple points in 3 straight.
If you're
February
picking
15th
hockey,
to
you
19th.
should have seen Patrick Laine.
Yeah, Patrick Laine has done well this week, but I think Lindholm has had that next level, and his contract that the Flames signed him to is looking like a steal right now.
I'm gonna pick someone that you guys might not have heard of. Is Dusan Vlahovic from Juventus. Juventus was in the Champions League, if you didn't know, a couple days ago, and they had the 22-year-old Serbian. He scored 33 seconds into his Champions League match.
How many goals did he have?
In one.
One?
Yeah.
My guy had 5 goals this week. 5 goals and 5 assists in 5 games played.
That's very true.
1 goal versus 10 points. Come on.
Well, hockey and soccer is two
for
very
hockey,
different
11
things.
goals in 10 games for Laine.
Yeah. I was
13.
torn between the two, but I think Lindholm, doesn't get a lot of respect, so I think I went with him this week.
When we come back, we'll be discussing everything college sports related, including the recent incident that involved Juwan Howard. Stay tuned.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
I can't wait to get back to field trips with my school.
Not having to think about putting on a mask.
I really can't wait to get back to life, really.
I miss all my friends. I miss taking pictures in school.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
COVID-19 vaccines are available, and they're the first step to safely getting back to things we miss most. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccines.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 30 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people.
It's time to make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccines. The dangerous new Delta variant is more than twice as contagious as the original virus and can affect anyone. Right now, 9 out of 10 hospitalizations and deaths from COVID are among unvaccinated people. Getting vaccinated might save your life, and there's now an option that's fully approved by the FDA. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear, because for years he's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But there's a lot more to say, like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Last week, the NCAA agreed on an extension of the college football playoffs 4-team format. Do you agree with this extension? Tyler, let's start with you.
No. No. Expand the playoffs. I'm tired of seeing the same teams over and over again. I know the talent gap is a bit far for the teams you're going to see.
It would make life so much easier when they expand it to 8 teams, and you won't have to complain about that 4 or 5 seed every single game.
Right.
And we want more entertaining games.
Right.
With like playoff atmospheres are some of the best atmospheres. Right. We want more of that. Not as many.
And they have the meaningless conference championship weekend. Like I honestly don't like.
They have meaningless bowl games.
Yeah, that is true. Also, like the Big Ten championship game, like it's always like
to watch Maryland play against Virginia Tech and lose.
I feel like that was
and beat them by like 90 points. No, that was just one that came to my mind, and he happened to be sitting there. But, you know, it's just the same teams over and over and over again. When you have 8 teams, you can have some variety.
You can have an upset.
You can have an upset.
You would be shocked if a 3-team beats a 16. Like, that's what we want to see. We don't. It's going to be the 1-4, 2-3 for over and over again. And we already know who's going to be in it. SEC dominates it anyways.
Every year.
Switching gears to college basketball now. On Sunday, Michigan head coach Juwan Howard was suspended for the rest of the regular season. What are your thoughts on this situation? Michael.
Juwan Howard, what are you doing? You've already done this before against Warren Turgeon. Just 1 year ago you had like the exact kind of situation. You didn't punch him, but I mean now it's like a step further. It's honestly like he needs to be disciplined more, honestly.
Obviously there's going to be repercussions every time fists are thrown, and I think it's absolutely warranted in this scenario. Very not fab vibe of him to do that.
Yeah,
what
Michigan
he did was a big old no-no. You can't get upset. I mean, like, granted, some of the things he could have gotten upset about, but you don't go to physical altercations in basketball.
Right, yeah.
Hockey, a different story.
You can settle it. It's encouraged, but not in basketball.
Right,
not in basketball.
And especially if you're a coach and in that position, it just makes the players look bad too.
You're a bubble team too. Like, if you want to actually make a run, then you actually have to be smart about it. And
goodbye locker room.
I know, right? And then you're gonna go to the NIT because you're not gonna be the coach for the regular season. So, sorry, bud.
What men's basketball conference tournament are you most excited to watch? And what team out of the conference are you most will win their respective tournaments? So sorry. Cam, let's start with you.
I'm going to go with up northerner compared to the basketball down south. We got Big Ten basketball. It's been very good this year, and I think so far the #1 team, Purdue, will win it all. It's very interesting of where they're at because it's not set in stone.
Michael Deemer, what is your infatuation with the MAC here? I would like to know.
How did neither of you pick the SEC?
Well, because
how many
SEC
teams are
there? Tyler, let me answer your question. I'm going to say the MAC because, by the way, who doesn't love MACtion? With three teams who are in the one seed line.
Also has 3 teams in the top of it? Mountain West with Wyoming, Boise State, and Colorado
Yeah, but you actually
State.
have multiple bids. They're only going for one bid.
Yeah, but Colorado
Kent State is on a 9-game winning streak. They beat the tournament experienced Ohio.
True, but
you have the SEC.
Ohio had a horrible first half in that game. If they don't have a horrible first half, that game isn't even. I mean, that game is a lot closer than it was.
3 teams are going for one bid in that league. Mid-majors are definitely.
You notice one conference that we didn't say, ACC. They have gone downhill.
Yeah, no one
pretty
cares
hard.
about the ACC. Honestly, we talked about this in prior shows as well.
But Big Ten in basketball is where it's at, I believe.
Now to talk about everything RMU sports related. RMU men's basketball lost to IUPUI on Thursday. The Jaguars are considered the worst team in Division I basketball. Do you think that this was the worst loss for Robert Morris in program history? Tyler.
Let me explain myself here, and let me paint a picture for you first. Future NEC Championship and NCAA First Four winner Robert Morris opens up their season in 2014-15 against Lafayette. Andy Tools never lost a home opener. He loses by 27. His team loses by 27 to a team that they beat 3 times in their previous meetings, all by more than 9 points. And the only teams that beat them by more than 27 that season, UNC, who beat them by 44, and Duke in the NCAA.
Okay, but were they last in the Ken Pom? Were they last
words real quick? This is an embarrassment of a loss.
They were going to win.
They were playing
eventually.
A six-player team. Never beat a Division I team.
They were coming off of a close game to UIC, who also beat Robert Morris.
They lost.
Robert Morris is really bad. This year, the year I'm talking about, man,
6 players.
They won the
I'm
NBC
the coach,
348.
I'm saying that's the most embarrassing loss in my entire career.
Yeah.
If 6 players can outwork you for
hey,
that amount of time,
who's played on small
and your
teams
team's not
teams,
tired,
who's
you
played
should
on
be on
teams
the
of less
goal
than 10 players, you play a lot harder when you have less guys than when you would with a full team. And I'll tell you that. They're playing for each other this year, and they were bound to win eventually. They gave YSU a scare, who's 6th in the conference, or in the top of the conference right now. So this is a team that was bound to win a game. It just happened to be against RMU.
RMU women's basketball is likely going to host their first round game. Do you think that there will be a good attendance for the game? What promotion ideas do you have to bring students to the game? Cam?
Well, I think the game's going to have to hopefully be on a weekday, because I know everyone on campus, everyone leaves on the weekend. You were at the basketball game this weekend. How many people were in the student section?
Probably me and 1 or 2 other people. So
it's sad that
it's very sad.
If it's a Tuesday night, I think there's going to be a good one. But the promotion idea I have, Thundersticks time. Let's bring back 2002 World Series, Anaheim Angels. I mean, it would be loud in there. It create a nice atmosphere, especially for the women's team, who doesn't get a lot of fans to begin with.
I think the band needs to play some more songs that the student section can bop to.
Right.
Like, we need songs that they can jump around. When you're sitting in the student section, a lot of people are just sitting down.
They need to encourage people to actually get up and cheer, because like the Jumbotron people, they don't actually say anything with that.
I think the crazies are posting stuff about going to the game.
Yeah.
Where were they?
No.
People get their stuff and leave. That's the biggest problem. I'm calling out most of the people that go to the games. They either go there and sit down and do nothing. They go there for the alcohol, or they go there to get something and leave. That's really the only issue for this game, and that's what you're going to get at a women's basketball game.
Very sad.
RMU softball is off to their best start in program history. What do you think's been their biggest key to success early on this season? Michael, let's start with you.
This team is all around good, but I'm going to say their pitching. Danny Velakis and Rachel Reinhardt.
Vatakis,
excuse me.
She's been here for 4 years
now. Reinhardt is 3-0 with 2 complete games, and Vatakis has a complete game. So
I'm going with pitching as well as timely hitting. You know, they're batting .276 and scoring runs when they need to. Take Charlotte Grover, for example. It's top of the 7th against Winthrop. They're down 1-0. She hits a home run to lead off the inning, and that leads to a rally to get them to a 2-1 win and win yet another game.
They've been very clutch in the.
They must really love the Carolinas.
Well, the first 2 games went into extra innings, correct? Yeah, they're coming up clutch in those late innings, which is a big part of making them 9-1.
I'll tell you what, I'm really excited for this team to come back and get into some conference play to see where they belong this year, because they made it to the tournament last year. So let's see how higher they can get, because they were placed 4th in the preseason poll.
This weekend, the Indoor Horizon League Track and Field Championships are happening. Who do you think will walk away with gold? Cam?
I think one person to watch is Katora Hunter.
Yep.
She's been very dominant all year long. She's won gold in 5 of the 6 last weight.
Yeah, no one can
5
really
of 6.
top her.
Yeah,
it's hard to.
She's got it down to a
I mean, if there's one that's been doing really well recently, running really well recently, that's Tara Gologram, especially in the long jump. She picked up the gold at Kent State. She's going to be my pick for this.
She set a school record.
Yeah, she did.
I'm gonna say Yancy Valencia. You're gonna say the top people. I'm gonna say a little bit a person that's underrated. Yancy Valencia has done well in the shot put with the 12-13 and the 11-56. That was all this month of the Doug Raymond and Bob Shannon. So if she continues that run, I could see her actually.
The Doug Raymond and Bob Shannon. What you got to
invitation of meet. Thank you, Gallo.
No, but it's definitely gonna be exciting to see if there's more school records that are broken.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back, the guys will give us their final takes. Stay tuned to see what they have to say about the Daytona 500, the recently announced conference merger, and more.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family, and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
Volver a vivir esos momentos comienza con protegerlos contra el COVID-19 y sus peligrosas variantes nuevas. Obtén la información más reciente en detidepende.org o consulta con tu pediatra o proveedor de servicios médicos.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Hey, boss. Okay.
Said I'm fine.
Hey, son.
Hey, Bob.
You know you can talk to me.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. As promised, it's time for the guys to give us their final takes. Tyler, let's start with you.
Well, yesterday, the Big South announced that it would be merging with the Ohio Valley Conference for football. With the current mass exodus in the Big South, I love this not only for the conferences, but also for Robert Morris football. With the addition of the OVC, RMU now has a chance to really take hold of this conference, with powerhouses Kennesaw State and Monmouth leaving and two teams they lost to, and North Carolina A&T and North Alabama also leaving. This move made a ton of sense for both conferences, and while RMU still is the geographic outlier in the league, it still gives the chance for a football team on the rise to get some fresh faces in town and see how the talent of other FCS conferences stack up to them. As Bernard Clark said in a statement yesterday, it is a chance for the school to play high-quality teams and create new rivalries. It is also a big step forward as RMU looks to take their program to new heights. This move is phenomenal for both the school and the conference, and I cannot wait to see RMU take on some of these teams.
Well, for my final take, I'm going to take a page out of our old friend John Hanna's playbook and talk about our hometown teams. My hometown team, the Flyers, and to most of the Penguins or Pittsburgh fans' joy, they suck. This is the worst season of hockey I've ever seen from them. They have gone on a 10-game losing streak just to follow it up with a 13-game losing streak and are on their way and in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. As a fan of the franchise, they just need to rebuild. Dave Scott and Chuck Fletcher say this is a one-year rebuild. No, it's not, and it's so obvious. The keys to starting this rebuild is getting rid of Claude Giroux, sending him off somewhere nice and letting him get his cup, and other players like Provorov, Konechny, and JVR, they need to go. Stock up on draft picks and draft the right players unlike Ron Hextall. Next year, you have two superstars, and I mean Crosby, Ovechkin, and McDavid level superstars coming into the league in Connor Bedard and Matvei Michkov. They need to tank worse than they are tanking this year and build around either Bedard or Michkov. In the upcoming draft this year, I want them to take Slavkovsky, who just won the MVP of the Olympics at the age of 17. The Flyers just need a fresh new start and with their organization.
One of the events we did not talk about today was the greatest day in American motorsports, the Daytona 500. Austin Cindric won the Great American Race in the high-octane 500-mile race that included barrel rolls, multi-car wrecks, and overtime. It was the debut of the next-gen car in NASCAR, and it lived up to all expectations. Debatably, it's just one of the greatest sporting events that not enough people watch. It was a sold-out Daytona International Speedway, watched 500 miles, but the TV ratings are still not pleasing to what they might have hoped. NASCAR ratings have been downhill trend since the 90s, and I believe that's an absolute shame. I've been a fan of NASCAR since 2008. The new generation of cars, teams, and drivers should bring a new audience to the sport. These rookies, the younger drivers like this, and like the winners and talented alone, like celebrities like Michael Jordan and Floyd Mayweather, are taking ownership of the teams. Austin Cindric, congrats on the win.
Well, guys, it's been a great show talking about all these topics with you. And, how does one team pile so many losses into one season? I want to know that. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the next episode of Sports Talk in the Burgh.